Welcome to Reasons and Benefits of Nutritional Detoxification and Cleansing in Health. My name is Dr. Ayo Bankole, and I'm the founder of the Inland Naturopathic Wellness Center, a health and wellness practice in Southern California, serving the area for over 15 years now, where it is our mission to deliver healthcare that treats the root of illness while empowering people towards the vibrant health that they deserve and the lives that they desire. This module, as well as the next module, will primarily be addressing concepts in the area of environmental health and cleansing and detoxification. The next module will focus on addressing or sharing the idea of conventional medicine that environmental toxins don't play a role in human health, and dispelling those as myths and presenting their arguments and counter arguments to that. Disclaimer for this conversation: the content is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. Consult your doctor or qualified health professional for guidance and healthcare decision making. So, my objectives for you in this first module is to provide the rationale for nutritional detoxification and cleansing. Then to describe the role and the impact of environmental toxins in health and disease. Then to describe what influences toxicity. In other words, why some people might become ill or suffer adverse effects from a certain amount of toxins while another person doesn't. And then to describe who may benefit the most by conducting nutritional cleansing and detoxification, and what symptoms and diseases are established and linked to environmental toxicity. So, some definitions to start. A toxicant is a non biological substance that produces an adverse biological effect. So, an example of that might be a toxic heavy metal like cadmium or arsenic, or a gas like carbon monoxide, or a synthetic chemical like a solvent or a pesticide. Whereas a toxin is a specific protein that's produced by a living organism. In other words, it's biological, and it's one that produces an immediate effect. A really good example of that is bee venom or apitoxin. Another is the toxin secreted by poison oak or poison ivy. Toxicity is the diverse effects upon tissues and organs and systems produced by a toxin as a result of the toxic quality of that substance. An example would be if one is significantly allergic to a bee and they get stung, swelling, redness, pain, perhaps closing down of the airway as a tissue manifestation. So that is toxicity. So what influences toxicity? A few different things. So the environmental compound itself, in other words, its own toxic quality, some toxins being a lot more toxic than others. Or perhaps the metabolic breakdown product of a toxin can also produce toxic effects. Another is the burden. So, in other words, the amount of environmental toxins that we are exposed to and may store has a different influence on toxicity than lesser amounts or fewer environmental toxins stored at one time. Also, our environment. So, the higher the amount of environmental toxins we're exposed to, perhaps where we live or where we work, can increase the effect of toxicity in our bodies. And then also there's a host of individual factors that influence how susceptible an individual is to environmental toxins. So that could be if one has chronic diseases, or the quality of their nutrition, their organ function, even their genetics or epigenetics, which is how their genes have been programmed to speed up or slow down based on their nutrition. So, some background on environmental toxins. Uh, Here are some classes that are commonly manufactured and really found throughout the environment and found in individuals when individuals are tested. Solvents, pesticides, pollutants, plastics, endocrine disruptors, and heavy metals. And these are just examples of the many classes of environmental toxins. More on background, there are over 9 classes of chemicals in everyday use in the environment that have been conclusively proven to cause cancer, endocrine disruption, reproductive problems, birth defects, neurological and other health concerns. Further, this is a conclusion of a study by the Environmental Working Group. That study was called Body Burden Findings and Recommendations. Hundreds of studies and peer-reviewed literature show that adverse effects from low-dose exposures are occurring in the population caused by contamination with PCBs, DDT, dioxin, mercury, lead, pollutants, air pollutants, and other chemicals. The health effects linked to chemical exposure in the general population include premature death, asthma, cancer, chronic bronchitis, permanent decrements in IQ, and decline in other measurements of brain function, premature birth, respiratory tract infection, heart disease, and permanent increments in lung capacity. So this is a really important statement because it dispels the myth or the idea that toxicity only occurs when an individual or a population is exposed to high and acute exposures of poisons. What this is proving based on evidence that low level of exposure over a long period of time has documented health impacts. So some harms that have been linked repeatedly to environmental toxicity. I like to point out that the effects and consequences of environmental toxicity are not strange and obscure diseases and symptoms, but they tend to be the very common chronic symptoms and diseases that are very prevalent in society. Some symptoms frequently seen are long-term fatigue and weakness, immune dysfunction that might manifest in frequent infections or difficulty clearing infections. Um, Other forms of immune dysfunction often manifest as an overreaction of the immune system and excessive or chronic inflammation, allergies and rashes, psychiatric symptoms like learning disabilities and memory problems, brain fog, chronic headaches, weight gain. That's because many of the environmental toxins that we're exposed to are endocrine disruptors, and endocrine disruptors affect our metabolism and thyroid function. And infertility, again, because endocrine disruptors affect the endocrine system. And then unusual reactions to medications and supplements is a common consequence. But it's not just symptoms that occur from the exposure of environmental toxins, and as a consequence, it's also diseases. And again, some of the very common chronic ones like heart disease. That's because many environmental toxins disrupt hormones that adversely affect the cardiovascular system. Many contribute to inflammation within the arteries. Also, neurologic diseases, autoimmunity because of chronic inflammation. Other diseases linked to environmental toxicity, again, those linked to the immune system, asthma, allergies, obesity because of endocrine dysfunction, type 2 diabetes mellitus because many environmental toxins, especially again those endocrine disruptors, cause insulin insensitivity. Thyroid disorders, sometimes a autoimmune condition of the thyroid, but oftentimes an underactive thyroid or hypothyroidism. So some more evidence that in the research has linked our exposure of environmental toxins to these diseases. This is how to a clash of old and new scientific concepts and toxicity with the important implications for public health. But the range of health conditions now plausibly linked to endocrine disruptors, including but not limited to prostate cancer, breast cancer, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, infertility, and male and female reproductive disorders, miscarriage, and most recently, hyperallergic diseases, asthma, obesity, and heart disease, and type 2 diabetes, makes it imperative that the clash between endocrinology and regulatory toxicology be resolved in ways that reflect modern scientific understanding. Therefore, the established link between environmental toxins and human diseases should be better appreciated in assessing the risk of and preventing and treating diseases. So, who stands to benefit the most by employing a cleansing and detoxification strategy for their health? Well, anyone who has an illness that could possibly be linked to environmental toxicity, anyone who has unexplainable illness, anyone who has a greater than average toxin exposure that might be based on their environment or their occupation, and anyone for any reason who may be suspected to have a lower than average ability to break down environmental toxins, perhaps because of compromised kidney or liver function. And also anyone who's simply looking to optimize their health and to decrease the risk of disease. Parents who are planning to conceive, and those who have known toxin exposures. And essentially all of us, because we are all exposed to environmental toxins from the moment of conception and throughout life. So part of this module includes an activity. There's a download attached, and this download, as long as you go through this activity, will allow you to identify a wide variety of environmental exposures that you may have. And this serves as a groundwork, as a starting place to making some changes to decrease your exposure to environmental toxins. I will be advocating throughout this module and the modules coming forward the importance of avoidance as a really important starting point for cleansing and detoxification. So in conclusion, we are exposed to a wide variety of environmental toxins. The toxic quality of these compounds is well known. Links to environmental toxins and human illness is very well established, and notions that detoxification does not play a valid role in health are not in step with the current understanding of the relationship between toxins and health. There is, however, much public confusion and misunderstanding about what constitutes an effective detoxification strategy. This confusion does not, however, negate the importance or the need to minimize our exposure and to employ nutritional strategies to promote the breakdown of toxins and to promote their excretion. Avoidance of toxins and the upregulation of detoxification pathways is a sensible, safe, and effective way to address environmental related illnesses and to optimize health. So our next module will be focused on dispelling the myths of detoxification, really presenting the arguments that are made in the medical establishment about cleansing and detoxification not playing a role in human health, and really dispelling each of those myths one by one. And after that, we'll be moving into practical steps for building a cleansing and detoxification strategy or protocol, being able to recognize what actually constitutes cleansing and detoxification, recognizing what foods and nutrients support detoxification, what things not to do, etc. So those will be coming up in upcoming modules. But the next one will focus primarily on dispelling the myths of the conventional medical establishment. Again, my name is Dr. Ayo Bankole with the Inland Naturopathic Wellness Center.